I am so far down this rabbit hole, you guys. Welcome back, my kindred spirits, dear hearts, and fellow feral gremlins. Whew, rabbit holes. Yeah. Fairly recently, we've been introduced to and discovered some more vintage stores and thrift stores and antique malls in our area to check out. And so we've been sort of browsing them and having fun. And this weekend, we got to introduce another friend to one of those antique malls. Any sort of thrift shopping for me is potentially dangerous because, as anyone who's known me for a while can tell you, I like old things. And with really focusing on making our current apartment a place we really love to be and enjoy being in, we've been finding some fun vintage accents to add. So in our recent forays, I have been limiting myself to things that are specifically for the house or things like that I can wear, home decor. So things that are still functional and fit in the space we currently have. I tend to avoid the vintage clothing for the most part because, well, a lot of it isn't what I'm interested in. So basically, well, at the antique mall this weekend, there was a rack of vintage clothing and something caught my eye, and I looked at it and found this. Now, the tag said 1902 walking suit, and it did say that the lining had been replaced. But as I looked at it, do you ever think something's just in a little too good condition? It just seemed like possibly more had been redone or replaced, or that it wasn't a fully historical garment, that it may have been a reproduction. I'm not entirely clear. But regardless, there were some things I really, really loved about it. From the design on the collar, to the way the cuffs were done with the trim, to the double vents on the back of the jacket. There were just a lot of really neat touches that I liked. But frankly, the price, while a good price if it actually is from 1902 and in that good shape, was not something in my budget right now. And as I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, even if I did purchase it, it would just be a display item. And I don't have anywhere to display it right now because I would not want to wear it and damage it. And it was not a size that would fit this body anyway. So that's where the rabbit hole came in. Because I've wanted to do something, I have had a love affair with both the Victorian and Edwardian eras for as long as I can remember. I grew up on things like Little Women and Anne of Green Gables and Road to Avonlea. And in college, as an English major, I focused a lot on Victorian and Edwardian era literature. And for a long time, I had made some garments like for other people, for commissions, for shows I was working as a costumer. But hadn't gotten around to making anything for myself. And then, like I talked about a bit in my last video, when I first transitioned, I went all the way to the male end of the spectrum, was super masculine, and sort of blocked off that, like, it kind of closed off in my mind that I'd ever get a chance to make these beautiful turn-of-the-century feminine clothes for myself. But like I said, when I started this channel, I really, really want to start playing more with historical clothing and subverting the gender norms a little bit in those historical items. So since I saw this beautiful piece and fell in love with it, I decided I'm going to make myself an outfit. I had already fairly recently sketched this that I had an idea about that I wanted to make for myself. And I'm still going to do that, but I think some of these pieces can... basically, I'm going to end up with a bit of a capsule wardrobe with a few different pieces from this era that I can mix and match. And again, I want to stress, I do historical inspired. I am not striving for full accuracy. Obviously not, because I'm making feminine clothes for a masculine body and just sort of playing a bit with the shapes and the styles. This is a sketch to the best of my memory and from the pictures I took of the full outfit as that one looked. And then, but like I said, there's some things that I'm going to want to tweak a little bit and change. So for one thing, I'm going to be doing a split skirt. So, it's more similar to my original sketch from before I saw this outfit. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. It's by no means finalized. I definitely am going to be playing with it a little more, and it'll depend on how much fabric I have. It's going to be two-tone, at least. I may bring in some darker greens somewhere. Wandering further into the antique mall, there was another booth that had some antique and vintage ribbons and trims, and so I did pick up a few things that kind of called to me to possibly include in my project in small ways, so I can still bring that actual vintage element in without it being the whole garment. I'm at this weird pause point with the production for Limitless. I have prepped all of the black fabric for all the garments that have been ordered already, and I am waiting on the color fabric with the custom printed artwork on it, which hopefully will be shipping soon. But so I'm basically at a standstill where I can't really do anything else for the clothing line until the rest of that fabric gets here. So I've been looking at like doing some projects for myself, including I've pulled out a couple of those unfinished projects and I've been sort of poking around at them. But then this happened. Oh my god. So I had these couple bits of vintage trim I found that were definitely in the color scheme I had in mind. So after coming home from the antique mall, no, that's not true. As soon as we got in the car after the antique mall, I started scrolling on Pinterest and Google and just looking for more reference for walking suits from that time period, and which parts I liked and what things I wanted to pull into my design, and looking at color ideas and shapes and all sorts of rabbit hole. Seriously, you guys, hours of just, well, like this. One of the things I'm trying to do with my costuming and clothing for myself, obviously for the clothing line, I'm ordering new fabric because it's custom printed with artwork by Harrison. But for costuming and for other one-off items, I'm trying really, really hard to use my existing fabric stash or repurpose things, whether that's, finding fabric at thrift stores, like drapes and sheets and tablecloths and or garments that I can alter, or things like that, but just finding ways to reduce and reuse and recycle fabric to reduce my footprint a little bit versus ordering new fabric for every project. And so then I went to the studio and went through all of my fabric bins to see if I had anything appropriate. And I had a little bit more trim, some buttons I could possibly use. I had some small bits of fabric, but not enough for the full outfit, but like enough that they could be accents or contrasts or lining. So I was like, okay, I'm still gonna need fabric. But so after going through my fabric stash and realizing I didn't have anything that would work for the full outfit, I decided to go out the next day and hit some local thrift stores and see what I could find. And I had some pretty good luck. I found two different fabrics, two different sets of drapes basically, that I really liked. One is a pale green, and the other one is a dark brown with a bit of a pattern embroidered on it in places. And then this actual, this white fabric with lace insets that might have been either a duvet cover or a tablecloth for a very large table, which I'm going to bleach and then use for both some undergarments and pull some lace from it for insets into the outfit. Yes, I said undergarments, because of course it's a rabbit hole. I realized if I'm gonna go through the effort to make this full turn of the century outfit for myself, well, I don't have a corset that fits this body. The last time I made myself a historical corset was when I still had boobs. So, you know, it's been a while, and my body was shaped differently, my fat was proportioned differently, so I decided I need a historical inspired corset for this outfit too, because why not? So yes, like I said, I am going a little bit nuts here. So this is going to be an ongoing project. I have been narrowing down some patterns. It looks like I'm going to be going with some pattern pieces from Black Snail Patterns and also a few from Truly Victorian. I will link them down in the comments below. I'm really excited to work on this project. And since I don't have a specific event I'm wearing it for, I will feel comfortable being able to pause on it once my Limitless fabric comes in, get back to work on that, and then come back to it. But I am super excited to start down this project. There's still some more trim I would like to try to find for it. I'm still like finalizing the design, but I'm excited to see how it shapes up and a little bit curious to see just how far down I go. Like, I've started thinking, do I need jewelry for this? Well, I obviously need shoes for this. And maybe a hat. Like, so we'll see just how far this ends up going. But in the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun with the fabrics I found and the stuff I have and deciding how it's all going to come together. And I'm excited to take you guys with me on this journey into my love affair with turn-of-the-century clothing. So here are some of the trims and things that I did come home from the antique mall with. This beautiful brown ribbon and like a velvet light brown trim that I'm excited to use. I really, really like this ribbon, and there was a fair amount of it. And then here are some of the fabrics and trims I had lying around, including some lace. I think I'm going to use that floral for the corset. We'll see. I have some great brown lining. So, like I said, I had some good pieces. And then here is everything all together with the fabric I found at the thrift store. I will say that brown is coming out much redder on screen, but it is a dark brown, and I am super in love with the top of these drapes on the light green. So I'm going to try to incorporate those into the design. With that, that is all I have for you guys this week. I'll be back again in 2 weeks. If you like what you see here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, get notifications when I upload new content. I currently upload every other Monday, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Any thought? We have a hound dog that lives upstairs, and I can hear it just wooing with joy right now. I don't remember where I was at all. I ended up finding 2 different fabrics, both of which were from drapes, or used to be drapes, are drapes, not gonna be anymore.